I noticed it right away, the absence of her wedding ring. It wasn't something you overlook after 12 years of marriage. Her hand looked naked, incomplete, as if something sacred had been stripped away. But what caught my eye even more was what replaced it. A thin gold bracelet, gleaming under the kitchen light. New jewelry? I asked, keeping my voice steady though my pulse had already started to climb. She glanced down at it, pretending to remember it was there. Oh, yeah. Just something I bought last week. Last week? I said quietly. Funny, I didn't see it until today. She shrugged, not looking at me. You don't usually notice those things. I stared at her, trying to read the lines of her face, the flicker of unease in her eyes, the faint tremor in her hand as she reached for her coffee. What happened to your ring? There it was. The question she clearly didn't want to answer. I left it at the jeweler, she said quickly. The clasp was loose, so I'm having it fixed. I nodded slowly. Rings don't have clasps. Her eyes flicked up. For a second, just a second, I saw something break in her expression. Fear, maybe, or guilt, but she recovered fast. You know what I meant. It's just being polished. Don't make a big deal out of it. I wanted to believe her. God knows I did. But something about that bracelet, the way it sat perfectly centered on her wrist, like it had been chosen with care, felt wrong. It wasn't just jewelry. It was a statement. That night, she came home late again. Said there was a team dinner. I didn't argue. I'd learned that pressing too hard only pushed her further away. But I watched from the window as she got out of a black car that didn't look like any of her co-workers' vehicles. I didn't see who was driving, but I saw her lean down, smile softly, and say something before stepping out. Then the car drove away, and she stood there for a second, adjusting her bracelet, like it was some kind of lucky charm. When she walked inside, I asked, "How was dinner?" She smiled. Too quickly. Fine. Exhausting. Who drove you? Oh, one of the interns gave me a ride. My car's still at the mechanic. The same one you said you picked up yesterday. That stopped her. She froze for a fraction of a second before forcing a laugh. Right. Sorry, I meant I left it at the office. I'm tired, Mark. Can we not do this right now? Sure, I said. We can do this later. She didn't reply. She just went upstairs, closing the door to our bedroom with quiet finality. I sat there in the dark, staring at that bracelet in my mind. I knew what denial felt like. I'd been living in it for months. 2 weeks earlier, I found perfume in my car. Not hers. A different scent, floral, lighter. She claimed it was her co-workers, that they'd switched cars once for an errand. I wanted to laugh at the absurdity, but I didn't. Because part of me was still afraid that pushing too hard would break something beyond repair. The next morning, while she showered, I checked her nightstand. The bracelet box wasn't there. Instead, I found a small note tucked under her phone. Just a folded piece of paper with handwriting I didn't recognize. You looked stunning last night. Can't stop thinking about you. No name. No signature. My chest went tight. The words burned into me like acid. When she came out of the shower, wrapped in a towel, she saw the note in my hand. For a moment, she didn't breathe. Then she said, "Mark, I can explain." "Please," I whispered. "Go ahead." Her voice trembled, but her eyes stayed defiant. "It's from a friend. It's not what you think." I laughed bitterly. "A friend?" "Yes," she said. "Someone at work who's been overly friendly. I didn't want to worry you." "Worry me? Or expose you?" She flinched, eyes glassy. "That's not fair." "Neither is lying." She stepped closer, tears welling. "Mark, you don't understand. You've been so distant lately. You barely notice me anymore. I needed to feel like." "Don't," I said sharply. "Don't justify it." Silence. Only the sound of the rain outside filled the space between us. Then, in a voice so quiet I almost missed it, she said, "I didn't sleep with him. Yet." That single word hung in the air like a blade. She turned away, shoulders shaking. It was just attention. I didn't mean for it to go this far. But this far already felt like miles. After that, things changed. Not in big, obvious ways, but in the quiet spaces between. She started taking late-night showers. Her phone was always face down. She laughed at messages she'd never share. The bracelet never left her wrist. I began to watch her differently, every glance, every hesitation, every excuse. I wanted to catch her, but part of me wanted to be wrong. One evening, she said she was going to visit her sister. I nodded, pretending to scroll through my phone. When she left, I waited 10 minutes, then followed. Her sister lived 20 miles east. She drove west. I stayed 2 cars behind her until she pulled into a small, upscale restaurant. Through the window, I saw her meet someone. It wasn't just a co-worker. It was the man from her office holiday photos, the one she'd said was just her manager. The same man whose name had started showing up in her calendar reminders. I sat there, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles went white. I wanted to storm in, to drag the truth into the open. But instead, I watched her laugh, touch his hand, brush her hair behind her ear the way she used to do for me. The bracelet gleamed under the restaurant's soft lights. That was all I needed to see. When she came home later that night, I was waiting in the living room. "How's your sister?" I asked. She froze. "She's fine." "Funny," I said. "Because I saw you having dinner with someone else." Her face drained of color. "You followed me." "You lied to me," I said simply. Tears welled in her eyes. "Mark, please. Where did the bracelet come from?" She hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. "From him," I said. She nodded once. Broken. The air between us turned heavy, unbreathable. She tried to speak, but her words dissolved into sobs. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she whispered. "But you did," I said. "And the worst part. You did it so quietly I almost didn't notice until it was too late." The next morning, she packed a bag. We didn't fight. We didn't scream. We just ended. As she walked out the door, she looked down at her wrist one last time. Then, without a word, she unclasped the bracelet and set it on the counter. It gleamed under the morning light, small and hollow and meaningless. I stared at it for a long time, realizing how much she'd traded for something so cheap. She thought she was trading her ring for freedom. But all she bought was regret.